And I was looking on the ground and I was thinking ki yaar, what kind of interviewer have I got? Cross questioning on those pictures. I had troubled him in all these aspects. Even after my coaching was over, I used to, this is not a recommendation center and you are not fit for recommendation and we are not going to recommend you. And I was waiting for the next picture to come. After my GP was over, my teammates were making fun of me. It just happens that the strength of each of the exercises increases or decreases. And I was terrible in my individual obstacles. I had completed only 4 obstacles. Hello everyone, my name is Jasjyot Singh. I got recently recommended through AFCAT entry and I got to know about Sir's Academy through my friends. They were the ones who referred me here and and then later on I got enrolled in DUX Bonanza course and it was life-changing for me. I asked Sir all my doubts and I troubled him with all my trivial doubts, starting from which razor to use for shaving to what kind of pen should I use in my psychological tests and while writing PIQ. So altogether the experience was awesome because the ending was awesome, of course. And the main thing which I got to know here was that I understood the process very nicely and I understood how the assessors assess us and what are they looking in a recommendable candidate. And once I got to know that, I was supersonic. I knew where I had to put my efforts and I then later on worked hard and kept my spirits in Josh high. I was screened out in my very first attempt for the TGC Army entry, but I didn't let that turn me down. And I later on appeared for AFCAT and it so happened that I had not actually filled the forms for AFCAT as well. One of my friends, he had actually filled forms for me and he had suggested me to opt for the AEL course and ADAM. I really never understood the nitty-gritties of various courses. And it so happened that by God's benevolence I cracked AFCAT and then through Sir's guidance I was able to clear my SSB and now I'll be joining Air Force Academy very shortly. So the D-Day was on 26th of December. All the defense aspirants reported to AFSB Mysore and there were around 236 candidates if my memory is right. And I was surprised to see the crowd because this was my second SSB and this was a written one. Comparatively, the earlier SSB was a direct entry one and only around 136 had appeared. So comparatively, the crowd was more. Starting from when I arrived at Mysore Railway Junction, some of the auto walas hurled towards me and they got to know that I had come here for giving my SSB, seeing white shoes and short hairs and clean shaven face, and they started to pitch their sales thing to me that sir, hotel sir, we will get you a nice hotel near AFSB Mysore, and such things took place. And it was these things are actually quite a few things which we tend to remember in the end. And then I reported and I stayed in a hotel. And coincidentally, I found a person who also got recommended with me and who was staying with me in the hotel itself. So when I reported there in the hotel, I inquired the reception about people who have also come to the same hotel and who are going to attempt SSB. And then he referred me to few room numbers, and then I was knocking on all the rooms, and I was asking, okay, we'll go tomorrow. I was organizing things like, okay, we'll go together in the morning, booking auto in advance, and that's it. And then we reported the next day around 2:36. Other fellow defense aspirants had come. The process was very organized and systematic, AFSB, SSB process. I really made some good friends whom I am in touch with, and quite a few comical incidents happened. We were living in Rafael room. The same group of people were team in group tasks, and it so happened that I was the alarm clock for everyone. I had to wake up early and wake others up, and once I was waking up a fellow defense aspirant, and he got really scared and he kicked me off. And that was another, he was shouting and he was scared and he kicked me off. That was another comical incident which I will cherish. Speaking up of how the things which I learned in the academy and how I was able to implement there was that sir really taught me how to be assertive and how to speak confidently, how to support points with logic. And one very interesting fact which I learned from Commander Vikram Rajan sir was that I found that he was very industrious. So it is a very common quote that kids don't learn by lecturing, kids learn by following your example. I used to see sir doing a lot of hard work and working on fellow candidates, giving them adequate time, actually more than adequate time. And Commander Vikram Rajan sir had given me a 3-hour psychological feedback. I hardly see any other fellow officers who give so much time to a single candidate. And similarly, he took a 1-hour interview for me and provided me with 1 hour of interview feedback. The main motivation behind my hard work was that since other people have worked upon me so well, I should be able to take all this efforts to its final destination and get recommended. So one of the motivation was also that since sir has worked on me so hard, I should not let that hard work go in waste. The initial 30 minutes of my interview were in the lines of that this is not a recommendation center and you are not fit for recommendation and we are not going to recommend you. And I remember the interviewing officer had really grilled me on some basic questions, on PIQ based questions like who are your best friends and why are they your best friends. So whatever answer I used to give them, he always used to add the term why in front of it and then ask me the same question. So for suppose if I tell that Adil Abbas Taqwi is my best friend, his next question would be why is he your best friend? And then suppose if I tell his qualities that sir he has a chilled attitude towards life, he's focused as well, then his next question would be why he has a chilled attitude, and then so on and so forth. So that went on for some 10 to 15 minutes. But since sir had groomed me really well on being assertive, I stuck with my guts and I stuck with my points, and that happened. And then it came to a deadlock kind of situation where the interviewer was keeping on asking me why this, why that, why is he your best friend, support this with examples, and so on and so forth. And then there was a deadlock kind of situation where I had asked the interviewer ki sir please give me a moment to think, and I was looking on the ground and I was thinking ki yaar what kind of interviewer have I got. He's focusing on such trivial things, and I was controlling my laughter at that particular point of time, and I was smiling towards the floor. And the moment I rose my chin up and I saw the interviewer, he was also laughing at me. And then it so happened that the interview suddenly changed, the table turned, and he asked me about my reading habits. So that was the time when I told him ki sir I read so and so newspapers, and I follow international news in shorts, and I gave him a list of books. And all this had happened only because Rajan sir had guided me to improve my general knowledge. And that happened, and then the interview suddenly changed, and the sides turned. From being a not recommendable candidate in interviewer's opinion, I became a recommendable candidate. This is my perception. And then he happened to ask me some questions like who is the current Prime Minister of Japan, and few questions related to Rohingya issue, and what is C2BM. The interviewer posed me a question and told me to tell whatever I know about the Indian Air Force. And it so happened that I went on speaking, and it was around 10 minutes and he had not stopped me. So so he was trying to check the amount of preparation which I have done. This is my perception. And all this had happened because Commander Vikram Rajan sir had guided me to prepare for the worst and to be well prepared in all aspects. So when it came to military knowledge, when it came to general knowledge, I feel that was the point where I got recommended. He showed me the pictures of various aircrafts and told me to identify them. And then he performed cross-questioning on those pictures. So for example, he showed me the picture of Sukhoi Su-30 MKI and told me to identify the aircraft. And when I answered that this is XYZ aircraft, he posed questions like, why is this not MiG-29? Why is this not MiG-29K? Why is this Apache and not HAL Rudra, not HAL Dhruva, and so on and so forth. And after this, I was satisfied that my interview has gone moderately well, and few other general knowledge related questions like the capital of Bangladesh, questions relating to Rohingya issue, questions relating to AVAX, which is Airborne Early Warning and Control. And once my interview was over, I rushed towards the cyber cafe room because my interview was scheduled on the same day as that of my conference. It was on the final day. I rushed towards the cyber cafe room and I cross-verified all the answers to the questions which I was not able to give during my interview. And I rushed towards the conference later on. So my conference was like a mini interview. The questions posed to me in my conference were as follows. He had asked me about how I help my father in business and what are the problems faced during regular business operations. He had also asked me to tell various situations where we had to incur loss because of someone else's fault, and questions relating to my internship and computer science project. And he had also asked me questions relating to whom I would credit the success of a particular project to. So by the end of my conference, I was satisfied with my performance in the conference. It lasted for around 10 to 12 minutes. And by the end of it, I realized that my ears were all red. And while leaving, I remember I was in full Josh mode and I had screamed Jai Hind near the door. And then that's that, and I came out of the room. I had appeared for psychological tests during my coaching, and a proper feedback was provided to me by a DRDO qualified psychologist as well as by Commander Vikram Rajan sir. Based on the feedback provided to me, I was able to change my psychology and very certain minute things which might affect our overall personality. Then based on the inputs given to me, I got to know that I was poor in time management, and I was not able to, during the test I was able to only attempt 11 TATs out of 12, and those TATs were also of not adequate length. They were of around 70 to 80 words. So based on the inputs given to me, I got to know that I have to be somewhere above 100 plus words or around 100 words. And it so happened that on the D-Day when I was appearing for psychological tests, on the morning I took out my PIQ. So I had already prepared my PIQ beforehand and I had written it multiple times and I got it verified by Commander Vikram Rajan sir. I had troubled him in all these aspects. Even after my coaching was over, I used to persuade him to check certain tats and my PIQ. So sorry Vikram Rajan sir if I had troubled you a lot. So I was well prepared with my PIQ, and then I had shortlisted certain themes which would represent my PIQ traits. So for example, if one of my co-curricular activities is that I am a BPMP COVID quarantine squad volunteer, I had kept that in my mind that if a story comes where a person is talking on phone, I would write certain kind of stories which would relate to my personality and associate that with a person who is a COVID volunteer and who is calling patients to check on them. So on the D-Day before, around 3 hours before going for my psychological tests, I just had a glance at my PIQ and I shortlisted certain 10 to 12 themes which might be helpful. And it so happened because of God's benevolence that related themes, related pictures had come in the slides, and I was shocked. I had actually surprised myself. I was able to complete my tats 10 seconds before, and each of my tat stories were 120 plus words. So I had actually surprised myself, and I was waiting for the next picture to come. I was really agitating and I was ready to go, and it so happened that I was able to complete my self-description in around 14 minutes, and the remaining 1 minute I was just having a glance at my psych dossier, and I was just checking whether I have not left something out, and a few VATs I had completed in that 1 minute. I think it was just 1 or 2 VATs which I had missed up, and that's that. And my SRT attempt was around of 47. I had attempted 47 SRTs, 60 VATs, 12 TATs, and self-description I had completed within 14 minutes. So my suggestion to all the defense aspirants would be that SSB is providing you with an opportunity that you pre-prepare yourself when it comes to your 12th TAT story and when it comes to your self-description. And always try to write answers which relate, in the sense that your personality traits which are reflected in SRT, which are reflected in TATs, which are reflected in VATs should be similar to your personality traits in PIQ. And this particular exercise can be followed by all the defense aspirants, that where they see their PIQ and then list out themes associating with your PIQ, and then try to write stories based on these themes. And it also happened, I observed that during VATs, few particular words were repeated. For example, aggression and angry, both of them are similar words, and so your response to each of them will frame a personality image in the mind of the psychologist, and then the psychologist will be able to finally say that acha, this particular person is a consistent kind of person, and the personality represented in all these exercises is similar. So this was one very interesting thing which I got to know during my coaching at DUX Academy. And then talking about my GTO, so GTO was like a mirror. It showed me what I am capable of and what I can actually do. So, and it so happened that I was not at all happy with my GTO. I had performed good in group discussion as well as group planning exercise, moderately well in group planning exercise. I had given some stupid suggestions in GP like teammates, gentlemen, we can swim for, we were isolated in an island, and I had given some stupid suggestions like gentlemen, we can swim for these 3 kilometers and reach that particular beach and then get a boat and get help and so on and so forth. But none of my teammates agreed to it, and I was very adjusting in that fact, and I took up their opinions and inculcated a final solution and brought out a final solution. After my GP was over, my teammates were making fun of me and they were saying कि यार 3 kilometers is a distance which is swam by professionals in Ironman marathons and so on and so forth. So that time it really hit me hard, and I was like, oh no, I have done a blunder in my GP. And followed by that, PGT was conducted. GOR was cancelled in our case because of the COVID regulations. So GD followed by GP followed by PGT. My performance in PGT was moderate. I was open to the suggestions which other teammates were giving. At the same time, I was also providing solutions. And overall, I was groomed well for all my GTO tasks by Commander Vikram Rajan sir. I had really understood the theory which goes behind finding the solutions of PGT, HGT, FGT and CT. So I would like to club all these exercises into just one particular exercise. It just happens that the strength of each of the exercises increases or decreases. In PGT we are a group of 7 to 8 people. In command task we are a group of 3 people. In half group task we are a group of 4 to 5 people. But the concept which is used to solve them is exactly the same, and I was pretty sure about it because I had really understood the theory in Commander Vikram Rajan sir's class. He had used AutoCAD software to tell us various cases where a particular bridge can be framed, and that's that. And in command task, one of the other memorable moment was that since the rope was very lengthy, it was taking quite a lot of time, and around 75% of my command task time was consumed in tying rope. And the moment my helper, my subordinate, got on that structure, the entire structure came out of the ground, and I was laughing internally कि यार I have used up all my time, and now what is going to happen. The assessor was quite adamant. He didn't give me the privilege of going on to the next structure even though my solution was right. He had instructed me to choose the alternate way in command task and start from the very beginning. So that relaxation, because since the structure had broken but my solution was right, was not given to me. And it so happened that I was not able to cross the command task in a stipulated amount of time, and I was terrible in my individual obstacles. I had completed only 4 obstacles starting from the number 10. Then my lecturate was quite moderate. I spoke on tourism, on the topic tourism in India, and my group discussion was quite good. And quite a few things which I implemented from my coaching was that I was assertive during the entire course of my GTO. So let's say if my subordinates or if my team, fellow members of my team were proposing a very unstable structure, I was assertive in the sense that I was telling them कि यार this is an unstable structure and we should not go through it. So my final words to all my fellow defense aspirants would be that prepare to your heart's content. Give your 100%. Once you have done that, even if you fail, there will be no regrets in your heart. And after getting recommended, my suggestion to all the future warriors would be the same which was given to me by Commander Vikram Rajan sir. It is that with such amount of power, responsibility and resources under one's command, there will be various situations where you might deviate from the ideal track. So the idea should be always to take decisions where the pride of the nation and the pride of the parents are upheld. Thank you.